In this video, I'm going to talk about how to chase unpaid invoices. This is something that many companies struggle with because they're not quite sure how to handle different customers and different clients. And if you have many customers to chase, sometimes you might get the tone wrong. And ideally, what you want to have in place is something that's bespoke and customized to each customer, depending on the relationship you already have with them. For example, if someone's been your customer for 5 years or 10 years and they just missed one deadline, the way you treat them should be different from someone who's new and hasn't even made their very first payment. And there's a way to make sure that everyone feels special in as much as they are owing you money or they're owing you an unpaid invoice. You should still think about the long term and how this relationship will pan out going forward. So how would you maintain this whilst also running your other things within your business? There's a lot of cognitive load involved. So you want to have something that's consistent and create a pattern. And that's what we're going to talk about using technology. So most invoice chasing just fails because everyone gets treated the same. If somebody misses an invoice or misses a payment and you're saying, oh, your payment is missed, can you make this payment as soon as possible, or would send the bailiffs after you? That isn't ideal for somebody who has been your customer and has been making payments regularly for 5, 10, 15 years, even 12 months. So you want to think about different categories of clients. You want to qualify what each client looks like for your business if you lose them or if you upset them. So there are 5 different categories you might want to look at. So is your client a long-term client? Is it a new client that's avoiding payment? Is a finance team required in order to get that payment made? And does a purchase order need to be raised? Is a customer unhappy with the delivery you've made and that's why they're withholding payment? So you want to think about what are the situations or what are the circumstances that have led to that missed payment. And then if you have a client who's a strategic client, then you might want to think about not annoying them. Yes, granted, some strategic clients would just owe you for months and months and months, knowing that because they owe you such a huge amount that you wouldn't go anywhere. Uh, when you have that relationship, there's a different way to handle the communication with that particular in that particular circumstance. So if your automation sends everything the same, that's not great for your customer experience. Now, how your workflow should look like, or what it should look like, is you send the invoice, you send a reminder that it's due soon in a really, really mellow tone. And then on the day the invoice is due, you send, okay, it's due today. Then when it's 3 days late, you send a 3 days late message, then 7 days late message before it escalates to a human being. That's one pattern you can take. And that's one that could potentially work. It's all about the tone and it's all about what the client expects. So if they know up front that this is what's going to happen, then they shouldn't really be upset. Now, what AI should do or what AI should not do is just send a reminder every 7 days. There's no nuance to it, there's no intelligence built in. And right now, it's becoming really unacceptable for you to treat everybody as though they're just a number. Everyone wants to feel special. So, what your AI can do and what you should do is you want to detect the invoice status. There's nothing more embarrassing than sending a message after the invoice has been paid. So before the message goes out, you want to check the status. You want to check the customer history and build that into the email that you're sending. So build some relationship, build some softening words into there that relates and shows that you appreciate the business and the custom that they've brought in the past. Then try to identify the likely reason for the delay. Are they upset with your service? Are they facing some difficult times? Should you reduce their credit line? And you want to, based on all of those ideas and circumstances, you want to draft the right message. And the other thing you want to think about is how do you build in different data sources into the email you're about to write. For example, if something's happened in the customer's area, maybe they've been hit with an earthquake or a typhoon, you want to be considerate of that. You also want to look at meetings that you've had or any calls that they've sent. You want to build all of that into the workflow seamlessly. So the relationship, if you want to think about it, you can say, all right, let's have a ladder of how we would approach clients who owe us money. So there's a friendly nudge. Oh, this payment, we're expecting it in 2 days' time. Just this is just a friendly reminder. This is our business process. We just send reminders 2 days before, and we send a reminder on the day just to make sure nothing gets missed. Obviously, keeping in mind the invoice status. So there's no point sending, oh, your invoice is due today if it's already been paid. Then think about offering practical help, maybe a payment plan or something along along those lines. Think about what the expectation should be when the payment's overdue, and then at what point does a human escalation come in, and under what conditions or criteria do you escalate to a human? So you can automatically send emails when there are low risk circumstances. So the customer's happy, it's a small invoice, there's been no complaint or no complaints, and you've not upset them in any way, and they're only slightly overdue. But when you start getting to 3 days, 7 days, and 2 weeks, you want to think about human escalation. So, do you make a phone call? Is the invoice a high value invoice? If it's like £200,000 or $50,000, you might want to phone them to say, okay, hey, there's this thing outstanding. How can I help? What's going on? So, a human to human interaction. Is a customer a strategic customer? Like they might bring you referrals. They might open up their business to other businesses, and you might have more transactions you might want to do with them. So it's worth making the time to call them human to human, not getting AI to call them. Have they made a recent complaint? That one, you don't want reviews that are poor because someone's raised a complaint and their complaint hasn't been dealt with. So you want to approach that and handle that really quickly. And have there been failed multiple reminders that you've sent, in which case a human should call to see what's going on. And then if they're angry or they responded with an angry email at some point, then you want to check to make sure that that's their concerns are handled. Now, the real AI solution is to have something in the middle that coordinates all these things that I've spoken about. So you have this AI engine which you can build, and based on an audit of your workflows, we determine, okay, what's the payment status? Where is the email? Check the emails from this particular client. Look at your CRM. What's the status of that payment on the day you're sending the reminder? What accounting tools do you have that you can look at? News, local news, where the customer is based. What else could they be doing? Are they on holiday? What's going on? The customer history, you can pull all of that in to the AI, and the AI will consider all of that information when it's drafting the message. And then at what point is an approval step required, and what is the follow-up task? So with the approval step, you might say, okay, if the client has been with us for 12 months and has made 12 consecutive payments, draft the email using all of the sources that I've just mentioned: the news, the accounting tool, your CRM, your payment status, and any conversations you've had with them. But send it to me first for me to say either send or make a change. And that you can do quite easily with the automations that we've built in the past. Then here's an example of something we built that's a rent reminder chaser for a property manager. So just zooming into this here, we used something called Make to draft the automation, but that's not important here. The important thing is the principle. So here is the CRM, this Airtable on the left hand side, and then what we do is based on information that we pull out of the CRM, we determine what happens next. Are we going to send an SMS? Now, there are criteria for sending SMS. The criteria might be, okay, firstly, that the number exists, and secondly, have they owed for a long time? So part of the business logic you'd have to come up with is, do we send an SMS first or do we send an email first? So that's a judgment call on your side, and then we create those rules and make sure that that happens. And then emails, different emails. Do we send WhatsApp messages? And then even when we send WhatsApp messages, the messages are different. So here we've got one rule for if the arrears are less than seven days, if the arrears are set between 7 and 14 days, and if the arrears are greater than 14 days. And the tone is different for each one of those WhatsApp messages. And then here we've got similar for emails as well. So this is a condition for where the arrears are greater than 14 days, and we choose to send an email. So something along those lines. It's just to give you a visual idea as to what you can build within your business to maintain that relationship with your customer. So do not automate the pressure. automate consistency so that everybody knows exactly what they're getting. So this is something that you need to plan and put in place from the very start so everyone's clear. So it's bad for chasing. Nobody wants to chase anyone, any customer, but sometimes it has to happen. If you have a good system which is predefined, and the customer themselves, they know that that's a system you have in place, I think generally most people will be happy. So that's what I wanted to share with us today. You don't have to struggle with sending reminders, but there is a pattern in which you can do it, and AI can help you certainly. So I'm Ua. I'm the founder of Autori. We help with revenue recovery, estimate recovery for HVAC companies and for your services companies. So do reach out if this is something that appeals to you or something that you require within your business. I'm always available. So you can send us an email, ua@autori.com or hello@ai, hello@autori.ai, or visit our website and just book a call. And I'll be very, very happy to help. So thank you very much for your time. And until next time, keep winning.